What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. Another Friday, another episode of Why Are We Bullish? Very excited. Got awesome guests waiting to join us here. I'm also happy to be doing my, I guess, my first one back from Riga. I was in Riga for Baltic Honey Badger. Unfortunately, I fell ill halfway through that, so I saw one day of the official conference, and then I saw a whole lot of the inside of a hotel room. But the stuff that I did see was great, and I got to check out the Nostra content in the 2 days prior. So I feel like it wasn't a total loss. So I'll give a nice hat tip to everybody over at HODLHODL that put together an excellent event. And from what I hear, the second day was no exception, despite me not being able to see it with my own two eyes. So other than that, I'm back in the saddle. I'm feeling better, and I'm raring to go. Yeah, of course, this is live. I defer to my friend Bill here regarding that.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Now, if you have not already, please do like, subscribe, share, all those things. Super important getting this content in front of our eyeballs. I am Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your daily session.
HODL the Bitcoin.
Now, before we dive in, we're going to take a quick look at where we are on the market right now. I currently have pulled up timechaincalendar.com, and I am pulling up the live chat now over on the right-hand side of the screen. Everything you say from here on in will be live for the world to see, for better or worse. Back on timechaincalendar.com, we're sitting at $59,080 per coin. A single US dollar will snag you 1,693 sats. Fees, a whole lot of the same fees I've been seeing lately. Low, 4 sats per byte priority and anytime. So, it's not bad if you transact regularly. Miners, not so keen on that. But hey, such is life. And in terms of Bitcoin mined, 19.74 million of them. That is 94.03% of the total supply. We're going to do a quick shout out to our sponsors here, and then we'll dive right in with our guests. We'll see you in a sec. Bitcoin Well is on a mission to enable independence by being one of the easiest and quickest ways to purchase Bitcoin in Canada and the US. And the best part about it, every buy goes directly into your own self-custody. They never hold your coins. You can add a Bitcoin address as part of onboarding. There's a transparent 1% spread, no hidden fees, no withdrawal fees. Plus they have KYC free sells and bill payments on their website. They're also a publicly traded company under the ticker BTCW on the TSXV. Check them out over at bitcoinwell.com. Check out my full tutorial on how to use them, and you can check out the links in the show notes down below and sign up today. Speed Wallet is a Bitcoin Lightning wallet built with simplicity in mind. Spend and receive with ease, claim your own Lightning address, shop your favorite gift cards, and even earn rewards when you spend. Head over to speed.app to download the app on your mobile or desktop today, and use the link down below to get 5,000 sats for free and have the chance to win even more. All right, and we are back in. Before I bring in our guests, I just got to let everybody know, this is official from Yellow. He wants you all to know that 58K is communism, break free, green skies await us above. So, you can hold that statement close to your heart. And we're going to bring in our guests now. So I want to welcome to the stage. I'll do a quick roll call, and then we'll do some intros here. So I want to welcome to the stage Raj, Tatum, and of course, HODL Tarantula. Welcome all thank you for being here. Very excited to get bullish with you guys on a Friday. Let's do a quick round for those that are unfamiliar, that are watching in the show. Who are you? What do you do? And we'll just do round robin here. So Raj, I'm going to toss it to you first. Can you give yourself a little intro, please?
Hey Ben,
Oh,
thanks.
H-Wig.
Pleasure to be here. So I'm a founder at Speed Bitcoin Lightning. We work on Lightning Network, try to develop the APIs, apps, try to push in as much innovation as possible on the Lightning Network. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to have you, man. First time on the show, but I'm sure you've got plenty of reason to be bullish. So looking forward to it. Awesome. Tatum, I'm going to toss it to you. I mean, my right hand for the Christmas show as regular. You need no introduction, but for everybody that's currently watching, wondering who the hell this is, what are you going to tell them?
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, Tatum Turnup. Before we get started, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to BTC Sessions. He paid me to say that. No, he didn't actually. But I'm Tatum. I am a degenerate miner. It's a toxic relationship that I can't get out of, but I love it reluctantly. Hosted between two ASICs that may or may not still be a show. Who knows? But yeah, I'm happy to be here. And yeah, come to the Christmas special. I'm the guy behind the computer every year, wrangling people up, and it's so fun. I love it. Favorite tradition.
Well, I'm glad that you're a part of it regularly. I don't know why you subject yourself to wrangling Bitcoiners for 6+ hours once a year, but I'm glad you do, and I'll continue to get that free labor
all day, baby.
Yeah. Awesome. And I'll toss it over to Tarantula. It's been some time since we chatted, man. Good to see you, but I'll let you give yourself an intro for everybody watching. Who are you? What do you do, man?
HODLHODL Tarantula, aka HT. I mine Bitcoin off grid. I am trying to, decentralize Bitcoin further than just via the node distribution, and trying to make it available to everybody everywhere in regards to decentralized power.
Awesome. I love that. Some of the stories you've told me have been fantastic. So I'm glad
How's
to have
your wife
you.
doing, man?
She's good. She's great.
Nice.
We just had a nice little family road trip through August with the kids and everything through Western Canada, and it was a good time. So I
was seeing some of your pictures from that. It looked absolutely beautiful. Your travels are crazy. I love it.
Yeah, it was wild. It was cool. I've never been like that far out on the coast, so it was beautiful. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So yeah, guys, we're going to dive pretty much right in. Of course, for everybody watching, if you're unfamiliar with the show, this is Why Are We Bullish? Simple premise. Each one of us has come with a reason for being bullish, something we're currently excited about in and around Bitcoin. And that reason can take many different forms. There are no barriers to that. So the flow of the show is, number one, somebody's going to get to drop their reason why they're bullish. This is their chance to rant and get off their chest what they're currently buzzing about. Number two, all together, we're going to riff on that reason. So discussions, comments, questions, whatever rabbit holes we want to go down. And then finally, number three, once we put a bow on that topic, we're going to rotate to the next person. So reason, riff, rotate until we've all had a turn. Nice and simple, easy peasy. And I'll get us kicked off today, and then we'll get through the guests immediately after. Mine's not going to be super complex or anything, but it's in and around a topic that I'm continuing to be more and more passionate about, and it has to do with, again, building your local community and like truly going all in on Bitcoin can mean a lot of things, and a lot of people still see it as just like a savings vehicle. But when you really, really go all in, that means you don't have fiat to use, as is often the case for me. That's the goal, the end goal. And so you're in a position where obviously you must spend your Bitcoin, and there's services and things that can help you navigate that. But I think that the most resilient way that one can truly become like a self-sovereign Bitcoiner and be able to be confident that regardless of who wants to tell you no, you can still live on a Bitcoin standard. And that's establishing peer-to-peer relationships with others where you can just directly pay for their goods and services with Bitcoin itself without even navigating through a service. And so I've begun trying to build that out in my hometown with the SAT market and bringing together all the Bitcoiners and kind of building out from there. And a lot of them already have skills and companies and products that they make. And so it's a no-brainer for them to be able to just accept Bitcoin already. And I've started to see that pop up in my everyday life more and more, to the point where I'm now kind of starting to look down the list of things that I regularly get, not just like using gift cards and stuff, which is great. That fills the purpose for me for a lot of things, or using like a local service to be able to pay bills or things like that. Again, Bitcoin, well, that's awesome for me. But like the things that I can get now just directly from people I know with Bitcoin, I'm just going to kind of list off some of the things that I'm now able to just obtain directly with Bitcoin from a guy or a girl that I know. And so when it comes to things like food, beef, chicken, eggs, jerky, honey, jam, all the types of stuff, dairy, a whole plethora of different things I can just get directly and locally, produce, things like that. So I'm very excited about that. I also now have a personal trainer that comes to my house a couple days a week, and paying him directly in Bitcoin. Yeah, and it's great. I'm super happy about that. When I was in Vancouver just recently doing my road trip, there's a barber there, and I just rolled up and was able to pay in Bitcoin. A lot of people referred me to 2 different barbers to check out while I was there. Earlier in the spring, kid threw a toy into the toilet and flushed it, and who did I call? The Bitcoin plumber in Calgary to come to my house and deal with my Bitcoin problem.
I love that.
Even beyond that, I've got tradesmen that have done various things for me. So like actually a childhood friend of mine who has kind of ventured lightly down the Bitcoin rabbit hole with me as well. He's accepted Bitcoin for a variety of things, either in part or in full, for a number of things that I've done. So he did my basement, like the entire reno of it was an unfinished basement, and he finished the entire thing, paid partially in Bitcoin for that.
Bro, that's strong.
Yeah, it's awesome. My kitchen table, we're looking online, seeing like crappy tables that we could maybe order. And then I'm like, all these are going to be replacing immediately. Same guy, call him up. He gets like solid oak bases that he stains, and he puts like a piece of quartz on top and like puts it all together, and the thing weighs like 350 pounds or something. It's not moving. Like it'll still be standing if the house ever burns down, like this. And so like, again, Bitcoin, my wood backdrop for my studio, he did that, and I can pay in Bitcoin. I had a different contractor do our back deck, our backyard, and our fence like a couple years ago. And while I didn't end up paying him in Bitcoin, he was very curious about what I did. And he was I think it was more so he didn't quite get the wife approval on that one. But he was considering accepting partial payment in Bitcoin. And beyond,
you gotta respect your ladies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got to walk that tightrope. But now I've got a few people that are working in the background for me, doing various things like communications and contracts, doing content management, and in various forms. Obviously, they're Bitcoiners. They're working on a Bitcoin show, and I'm paying them directly in Bitcoin. And then the cherry on top was the other day, we had a cleaner come to the house, and she's come a few times, and she's kind of an independent contractor. And normally she just wants like a bank transfer. Well, the other day she's cleaning, and she sees all my Bitcoin books sitting on the shelves. She's like, are you like done with some of those books up there? Like, have you read them all? And I'm like, Yeah, I mean, I've read them. She's like, is there any way I could borrow a few of those? And she snagged 3 Bitcoin books to take home and
That's
go
awesome.
Yes,
I
this
have
is
so
the
many
way.
Bitcoin books. I want to do I don't know how, but I want to make like one of those free tiny libraries that you see pop up where they have like kids books. You just
Yes.
give one, take one. I want to do that with Bitcoin books because like I have a ton. Also, like
Oh,
right
yeah.
here on my floor, I have like maybe 10 brains mining books, and like
Mm.
I don't need all of them. I could just like give them out.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean,
I got an idea for that actually. You hit me up.
do it.
All
Yeah,
right.
you know, you see those little tiny they're like, it's like a big giant mailbox with a
Mhm.
like a plastic window. You could just put one out there if your neighborhood is, you know, not too bad, you know, just fill it and just put a sign on it,
Just
you
drop.
know.
That's,
Yeah,
I wonder
I
if you
feel
could
like the
get a
Colorado
locking
government wouldn't
mechanism.
like that all that too much for me though.
You get a locking mechanism that's
Eh,
zap to unlock, like a you know, like a 100 sat like zap to open kind of thing. I think
mm.
that's hilarious.
That'd be awesome.
And of course, unfortunately, that would keep out the no corners. So I suppose that's counterintuitive, but
Yeah.
yeah, I guess it would have to be quarters or something like that. But it could always spit out an LN URL at the end of the but yeah, so that's why I'm bullish. That's what I'm excited about. Is more and more of my life is being directly able to be funded in Bitcoin with no go between, with no third party. I just live, and the people that I live in and around also are beginning to at least dip their toes into that Bitcoin standard. So I'm stoked about it, and I don't know. I'm just curious in general, I guess, to boot the conversation on this particular topic. You know, what have you guys yourselves seen in your endeavors in and around people adopting Bitcoin, not just as a savings mechanism, but also kind of using it day to day? What have you been seeing as of late? What things have been interesting to you in that realm?
I'll jump in here because this is something that I've been actually working on myself because I always like to say oil your kill switches. Is better have them not need them than need them not have them.
Yeah.
And that's just, you know, building a circular economy and being able to function comfortably if, you know, doomsday scenario happens and everything goes to hell and back. And part of that was for me was also learning how to spin my spin my Bitcoin. And of course, originally I had like I was in this like fantasy scenario, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fake my death and then I'll have to pay with Bitcoin to get all my like. But then I was like, actually, this is like something good that I would happily still do as a known alive person. And I've been kind of I got kind of set back whenever I moved across the country because I just didn't have like the community that I did back home, and so any progress that I'd made down south whenever I was home was kind of just wiped away. Luckily, though, I moved to Denver and found a ton of Bitcoiners, and through Denver Bit Devs and several you know conversations over drinks, we founded the space, which didn't mean to do this, but shameless plug for the space. It's a physical Bitcoin hub that we're building here in Denver, and I just kind of thought that it was a cool idea to have like a go-to place for Bitcoiners who want to be there, and we're going to have like a workbench and like conference rooms, co-working space. But
Kind
then
of like
whenever we were
Bitcoin Park.
yeah, it was basically kind of founded to kind of rival Bitcoin Park, Bitcoin Commons. Sorry, guys.
Uh,
But when we were at
no
the
shade.
founding meeting, it was actually really, really cool because a ton of people from all around Colorado, not just Denver, came and they were talking about like what we can do, what they can offer, and were several people just at that meeting that were like, "Hey, I'm a rancher over in I don't even know where. I still don't know anything but Denver and Colorado. But a direct peer-to-peer beef for Bitcoin, and I was like, oh, I actually have just shaken one of those guys' hands. Like, that's crazy. Like, I see people buying beef on Twitter with Bitcoin all the time. Like, I actually see that now, and I haven't partaken in it because his MOQ is a little higher than my budget. But it's really cool to actually see stuff like that happening, and it's really encouraging to see sat market. I have a dream that that's going to hopefully happen here one day, where
Yes.
the adoption is wide enough that, hey, we're putting this farmers market. There's like farmers markets all the time in Denver. You can't drive down the street and not see a ton of tents set up in a park where people are selling art or selling like cutting boards or food or anything like that. It's like, I want to have one of those that we can put on and comfortably, you know, have it to where people know what to do, or at least maybe have like an entrance booth. Like, hey, you know what? Here is a couple thousand sats for you to learn about, use and learn about here and stuff like that. So it's definitely, I hit a reset for sure whenever I moved, but that minor setback was a major comeback, and hopefully, I'm able to, actually participate more now. Also, I do have my laptop charging this time. I had thought about that because the same exact scenario is going on, but it is plugged in and we are powered. I am not dying in the middle of the show this time.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I again, it's really cool to see. And I think maybe that move, it's just brushing you up on the skill set of building out those relationships wherever you are locally, right? So
Absolutely.
Again, I think that it's a more positive thing than a negative. Raj, I'm curious to get your take on some of this, because dealing with like speed, I'm sure dealing with that, you get a bit of a unique insight to like it's designed in such a way where it's meant to be very transactional, right? Like Lightning that's inherent in it. And so I'm sure you see a lot of interesting things happening on that end, but I'm also curious about just like in your own experiences, what you've seen on this front.
Yeah, Ben. So at Speed Wallet, right, our focus from the day one has been to make it a spending wallet. Uh, it's a hot wallet. It's not a wallet on which you store your life savings. This is supposed to be like the $100-$200 wallet that you carry around and use to spend, right? That's been the idea, and to make it like really, really easy, straightforward, make sure that the experience is smooth and the transactions will never fail. That had been our goal. So um, when it comes to like some of the unique trends that I see is I think we have a pretty good cluster of users in gaming industry now, like people who are actually live streaming the gaming. They do accept the lightning rewards or lightning like tips on there. They'll put the LNURL static QR code. Hopefully, we have a Bolt 12 very soon. So
Nice.
uh,
That'd be great.
yeah, that would
That's
be
cool.
awesome. Yeah, so that's one area where we are. Ben, as of today, or I would say like a 6 months back or a year back, we had a lot of Bitcoin Lightning users, but they would be spread all across the world, and it was very difficult to find kind of create that economy, right? Where you have like a group of people transacting. With each other using the lightning, and they have a reason to do that, right? That cluster is very important, and it would stick, and we see that happening in the gaming sector. So really excited about that. We are trying to reach out to like game streamers and influencers and see if more will be willing to put up the LNURL static QR code and start accepting the lightning payment. We will give them offer that they cannot refuse.
Yeah. Well,
Nice.
it's unique too in that I feel like once they see it, like once a gamer's maybe used to being able to like get a tip or something on Twitch, but it's like it takes some time to get access to that money. Whereas like, you know, you accept a tip and then instantly it's like, oh, I can just like use this right away to buy like a gift card for whatever I need, whatever locally or on my favorite stores or something like that. Or I can save it. Or the fact that they can also, if they do want to save it, you know, it can accrue value over time. So it's got this kind of like cool dual purpose, and it's so quick. I think it's just unique in that they can move it around very, very simply. I've got to think that there's a reason that these gamers that are used to getting online tips are the ones that see it and try it out are gravitating towards it.
Also, on that note, I used to stream on Twitch, and Twitch, for one, is just it's extremely hard to blow up on. Like, there's
Mhm.
it's almost every big Twitch streamer. There's almost like some degree of nepotism in there, like amongst the community. And even if you do try to make it from the ground up, and you do have a little bit of a following, and you are able to get donations and tips, the first of all, like you said, it's a walled garden, so like you have to grind just to get there, just to maybe possibly get tips. But then when you do, Twitch, anyone that's the middleman, especially Twitch, is taking a ton of that stuff. And so like when you have something like Zap.stream, which is a Nostr client for streaming, which I love using, if someone sends me 1,000 sats, I get 1,000 sats. I don't get, you know, 100 sats, and
800
then
sets.
Mr. Zap.stream gets 900 or something like that. But it's direct to me, ready to go whenever.
Yeah, exactly. We're actually on Zap.stream right now. So
Oh, sweet! I didn't know you were streaming on there.
Yeah. I've been streaming to Nostr for I think all of this year and a good portion of last year. I'm trying to remember when I started doing it, but yeah, I just plugged it into Restream and it goes there. It goes a number of places, but it's very clear with what happened to Nico and Simply Bitcoin this past week, and it's happened to me before too, that like we really need to examine, like you can't put all your eggs in one basket, and you know, ideally the world needs to shift to platforms where you just can't be taken down, where you actually can build something and feel confident that it's still going to be there the next day, not arbitrarily rug pulled on you. That's terrifying. I cannot imagine how he must have felt this past week.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah. Anyways, I digress. HODL, I'm curious your thoughts on kind of the living the life, walking the walk, and using Bitcoin day to day. What have you seen? What are your experiences?
So what I've seen that makes me feel more bullish about Bitcoin in regards to this is I'm seeing more individuals inquire about it in general, and also business owners are implementing it. I know a couple, like you said, you can get your beef and pay directly in Bitcoin. I know 2 ranchers who actually started their own websites and started marketing the ability to purchase their products in Bitcoin. And these are people that are not directly affiliated with guys like Texas Slim. So it was an independent adoption. And to me, that is one of the strongest signals, where it's not a any type of convincing involved from somebody in the space already or anything like that. It's just them being curious and actually doing the legwork to figure out what exactly this is and why it is important. And that tells me that more people are actually starting to wake up and understand what is happening around them in regards to the economic state of the world as a whole. And so to me, you know, seeing that is very exciting, I'll say. And then, as I said a moment ago, I am experiencing more inquiries about it just in general. Like I have a shirt that says off-grid Bitcoin mining, and constantly I get people coming up to me now saying, well, is how does that work if it's not, you know, if you're off grid? And then these questions that I get are unlike questions I ever got before. I never had people approaching me like publicly and just inquiring about these things in general. So it tells me that people are starting to wake up and see the sats for what they're worth. And I think that's extremely bullish. Whereas, you know, over the last, so I've been doing this for the better half of a decade now, off grid and other situations. And from where I started to where like the inquiries that were in the beginning, which were virtually non-existent, to where things are now and how frequently I'm getting them, I think that it's a sign that we're starting to pick up in regards to the adoption S curve.
Yeah. I think, again, as more and more people recognize it's a weird, like gradual process, but as more and more people recognize the value of Bitcoin and get curious and learn, one, they'll first obtain some, but because they still have fiat, they'll maybe just save the Bitcoin. But as they get more and more, they'll maybe start trying to use it here and there. And eventually you get to a place where you begin to have less and less fiat. And so you inherently need to use the Bitcoin. And in the inverse of that, the people that also recognize the value of the Bitcoin are going to want to accept Bitcoin themselves, and they're going to incentivize people too.
I was going to say, just add one more thing is that another thing that makes me pretty bullish on Bitcoin is what Mr. Patel here is doing with the speed wallet, giving the ability to swap sats for stablecoins. There's a lot of people out there who are concerned about the volatility of Bitcoin in general, just because they haven't been involved long enough to understand its actual nature, and that price discovery is going to be something that, you know, is long and drawn out. And so seeing implementations like that get me excited as well, because now you have individuals who may have been kind of weary of you know, getting into this, and it you know, this being connected, like he has a stable coin connection and swappability on his wallet, I believe. This gives people the ability to kind of go back and forth seamlessly and quickly without them actually having to do a whole bunch of other steps, and they can do it in smaller denominations. And so if they do get scared, they can just, you know, step over to there real quick, and then if they're starting to feel better about it, then they can step back into the orange, you know. And so I think that things like that are a good way to spread awareness. We were in the chat a little bit over the last 48 hours, and I was making the statement about stable coins being USD 2.0, and it's kind of a shit coin in itself. But I do understand that the actual ability for people to move back and forth seamlessly when they get anxious about what's happening is a plus overall. And he agreed with me himself that, you know, as time progresses, these things will fall to the wayside as more people start to understand Bitcoin. But it offers them the ability to kind of, you know, take a step back and then, you know, like one step back and then two steps forward in, you know, an easier way that may be say less intimidating than what people are used to.
Yeah, fair enough.
Couldn't have been said better. Can I add something? So yeah, I mean, if we look at the rest of the world, right, most of the people have always looked at their currency always in the reference of US dollar. Like, you know, if I look at in, like, you know, back when I was in India, Indian rupee was like worth how many dollar was what it was worth for me. So it's super easy for me to understand US dollar. Bitcoin, is little would require education and like some more sophisticated or technical user, or somebody who is uh, plugged in into the internet to kind of really you know take step into it. But going into the US dollar is super easy, like converting somebody and bringing them on. And if we can do that on the Lightning Network itself with the Bitcoin rails underneath
Mhm.
it, I mean, that's awesome, right? I mean, then they are, and they are just a step away from Bitcoin. There is easy interoperability. They
Yeah.
can swap in and out. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Bit of
And I mean, just the very act of because naturally what happens, obviously, as many people have experienced themselves over their Bitcoin journey, is some people, they get worried or they try to time things, and typically those things happen when at the most extreme ends of the price movement. And so, like, oh,
Yeah.
Bitcoin's dropping, I better like go to safety of the US dollar while it's dropping. And then inevitably what happens, like, you're doing that in and around a lower range, and then inevitably, of course, Bitcoin's going to accrue value over time, and you end up realizing, like, oh, I think it's more just I need to get a hold of my own emotions around this stuff. And like, if I'm just want to hold on to some Bitcoin for a while, then it's better to just take my hands off the wheel there and just let this thing be a little wonky, because we know that in the long run, it's there to preserve the fruits of your labor. So
The
yeah.
irony of finding safety in USD against Bitcoin is that that's going to end up that, at least for me, I earlier on in my journey, I was like, oh, Bitcoin's dropping. I better, sell it all for USD until, I feel a little better and it's going up. And then I'm like, oh, okay, well, now I've actually lost technically some Bitcoin because I tried timing the market. And then same thing happened, same thing happened, same thing happened. End up with just like little to no Bitcoin versus what I started with. And I was like, huh, I wonder what would happen if I just kept it all in Bitcoin. And but I also do understand too. I learned about this with one of my Indian friends who created. They changed the name, and I can't remember what it is now. But he was from India and moved to the U.S. and was basically trying to create some sort of money transfer system on Bitcoin and Lightning rails, and it ended up being a really cool product. And I'm really upset that I can't think of the name, but like you could text basically. All you needed in India on the receiving side was a phone to receive, and anyone from all over the world could send USD to India via Bitcoin and Lightning rails. I was like, that just sounds like a lot of extra steps. But then I realized, okay, I was born into the US dollar. I grew up using the US dollar. I got a degree in the US dollar. I have a banking and finance degree. I know it's crazy. And so the only thing that I know is the US dollar. I do know that it is inherently bad, I guess, when you look at it from a
Evil.
fiat standard. And it's like, okay, Bitcoin is the better US dollar. Not, I don't want to compare US. That came out wrong. But it's like that's the step. That's the next step.
It's gonna be a
But
tweet.
whenever,
Bitcoin is the better US dollar.
hold on.
Can I get that quoted? Thank you.
But I realized after talking to him and also learning about Zimbabwe, Argentina, and hyperinflation over there, their refuge was the U.S. dollar because it was the better currency
Mm.
than what they were using. And it's like they've always been exposed to the U.S. dollar, not necessarily directly, but in some capacity because of how borrowing, trading works, everything like that. They're not automatically going to just be like, oh, our currency's dying, let's skip over the US dollar because that's probably bad too, and go to the next best thing. No, there's a layer of learning there.
Mhm.
And I've also seen that in my studies with developing nations in Africa and how they they honestly, in some degrees, they prefer stable coins for transactions and not necessarily the preservation of wealth is not the forefront of their mind. It is transacting and making sure that they are able to. It is the preservation of wealth is there, but it's not okay. How can I use Bitcoin to preserve my wealth? It's going to go up and to the right forever. That's like 25 steps ahead of where they are because they've just not been exposed directly to the US dollar their entire life, and that's kind of their escape, so to speak, when they face hyperinflation.
Yeah. Well, gents, I think on this topic in general, we're seeing a lot of great things in and around people, again, recognizing the value of Bitcoin, but in various different ways and beginning to integrate it either as a payment rail or as, a mechanism for receiving tips or, again, as I am and others that I'm seeing, accepting Bitcoin or using it day to day to obtain the things that they need, and I just love that trend. And so yeah, I'm glad we could chat on that. I know this topic we went down some rabbit holes here, but I want to do a rotation, so I'll put a bow on this one, and we're gonna jump to the next topic. And Raj, I'm gonna toss it to you. I'm gonna cue you up with the same question everybody gets: why are you bullish?
Okay. Let me think about it. Okay, so we are probably about 2 months from the presidential election, right? And if you look at both the candidates right now, obviously, like if Trump gets reelected, uh, he made a commitment at Bitcoin Nashville to have more friendlier regulations and have Bitcoin as a national strategic asset and all that. So I think I expect him or his administration to be more favorable. Um, and let's say if we have Kamala Harris, right? I mean, if she gets elected, I mean, we might think that it would somehow turn out to be unfavorable, but I believe that it'll be even more favorable. She is going to create a massive fiscal expansions, with
The
with
acceleration
I
is
think like yeah, what, $25,000 housing credit, $6,000 child credits, and you recently saw this. I mean, I could not even believe myself when I saw that news. California Senate approving $150,000 for first-time house buyers, undocumented immigrants for a down payment. I mean, that's so insane. I mean, I could not even believe myself. And I think, if she comes, that will probably expand. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to see billions and billions of getting printed again. And I think that's going to be very positive for Bitcoin as well. So, so I'm very bullish.
I love
Whoever the next president is good for Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly.
I love, yeah. If it's good for Bitcoin, it's good for Bitcoin. If it's if it's a bad nominee, it's still great for. I love that the silver lining you painted around a horrible administration is blinding. Yes, this dark cloud is gonna grow so many flowers after it pours rain. It's but it's true though. There's a bunch of dudes on Twitter. They're all about like just accelerate, just like rip the band-aid off, get the bad policies through so that people can actually migrate to the thing that will save them from those bad policies quicker. And their reasoning for that is like, well, if you're in a bad relationship with somebody or a friend of yours was in a bad relationship and they were like emotionally abusive and screaming at each other all the time, and there's no chance it's going to work out whatsoever. It hasn't been a good relationship for ages. Would you want that person to drag it out forever and ever and ever, or would you want them to just call it quits? Let's break up. Let's have a fresh start and begin rebuilding our lives. And so that's kind of their stance. It's like, yeah, give me the admin that's gonna just pump the trillions and trillions out that money printer and make people realize how necessary Bitcoin is. Yeah. I don't know. I'm curious between HODL and Tatum here. how they stand. Like, obviously, like never trust a politician, but I guess in this framing, you don't really need to.
Yeah, I don't really care about what regulations they want to implement or do or say. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and building it anyway.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, it's great for those that already are those of us that have already been living that orange life. Hopefully spurs more into doing it. But Tatum, it looked like you had something to say there too.
I have a lot to say in some things. I'm not. I don't know if I should say, but my history with my history with politics is like I used to be very into politics from a national level all the way to a local level,
Yeah.
and then I slowly started realizing, even before getting sucked into the Bitcoin culture. Thanks, guys. Again, I can't leave now. But even before then, and more so after I got orange pilled and did more research about just everything within the government, federal spending, XYZ. I slowly, then very quickly started realizing, oh, especially on a national level, it does not matter what I choose. Someone is already basically chosen to win. And it does not matter what they say, because they're just going to do whatever they want. And we've seen that too many times. And I think it's awesome that Trump is pandering to Bitcoiners. And I think it's awesome that Kamala is starting to come around to crypto. And I think it's awesome that RFK has been such a big proponent. But at the end of the day, they're all still politicians. At the end of the day, Trump has already launched 4 NFT projects with the literal promise of future gains, which I don't know, that sounds like an unregistered security. Never mind. At the end of the day, RFK went to a Cardano, said that Charles Hoskinson is a crypto guru. He also went to an Ethereum conference right here in Denver, Colorado, said that he was buying Ethereum. At the end of the day, Kamala is still Kamala. I hate politicians. No one's going to save me. I know that Bitcoin is permissionless and I know how to use it without them. So I'm just going to keep going. And I know that I'm still going to face repercussions for whatever the administration, whatever decisions they make, because I live in America. But that's one thing that I can control is my Bitcoin and my node and my relays and my self-sovereign server. So sorry, I went off again.
So these are for Tatum.
Yeah, I had a friend watching. I sent the link in a group chat, and he said, "Is he loading a mag on camera?" And I was like,
"Yes."
So normal stuff here on my end.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, again, there's no good. It is hilarious, like the NFT, like the 4th. Is that the 4th one?
I think it is the 4th one. Yep.
Oh Lord, it is what it is. I mean, like it's not out of character.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Sad but true.
Yeah, but hey, it is what it is, and again, at the end of the day, where the Bitcoiners that know what's up can just continue living their lives. The state can continue to bankrupt itself and try to print paper over the losses until that no longer works, and we'll still be standing as that whole house of cards falls down. So there you go.
I will say though, I will say that wasn't even like me disagreeing with Raj. That was just my feelings coming out. But while I do dislike politicians, I do agree with Raj that either one will end up being a good thing for Bitcoin, whether it hurts for a little while or the Band-Aid is ripped off. But so, yeah, just to wrap that up and bring it back to the point.
Yeah. It's basically just giving us, one will give us a little bit more runway to build some stuff. The other one will be like, all right, let's do this thing. Let's go. That's awesome. Cool. Well, I'm going to unless there's anything else that anybody felt like they missed, I'll put a bow on that one. So am I good to go on that, or unless anybody had any last second thing? Okay.
Yeah.
Looks like it. Cool. So awesome. Thank you for that, Raj. I'm gonna put a bow on that topic. We are gonna come up and we're gonna do another rotation here. But before we do, I'm going to do a shout out to our final sponsors as well. And we're also going to give away some sats. So everybody that's watching, get out your Lightning wallets. Tatum, you can't have them. And get out your Lightning wallets and be ready to scan the QR code that's going to be up on the screen after the break. We will see you momentarily. See you guys soon. CoinKite.com has some of the best hardware on the market today to secure your Bitcoin. The Cold Card Q is an absolute powerhouse and is my daily driver. And on top of this, they have plenty of other goodies, including the Mark IV, the Tap Signer, Open Dimes, the Block Clock, and much more. If you head over to their website, make sure you use code BTC Sessions at checkout to get a nice discount. Links are in the show notes down below. Keeper is a mobile Bitcoin application for managing and securing your funds for the long term. You can set up hot wallets for day-to-day spending or create digital vaults for deep cold storage. They also offer assisted multisig options as well as inheritance planning. And on top of that, Keeper boasts a long list of support for Bitcoin hardware, longer than I've seen for any other mobile application. You can check them out today by searching Bitcoin Keeper in your app store or heading to bitcoinkeeper.app. When it comes to peer-to-peer trading and lending, instant self-custody, and no KYC, HODLHODL is the place to be. You can sign up with just an email address, and once you're there, you can start browsing offers immediately, whether you're looking to buy and sell, or whether you're looking to lend or borrow. You can check them out today at the links down below. All right, we are back in, and we're going to be giving away some sats and then dive into our next topic here. Anybody that's been watching the show the last few months here, you're familiar. We're on the Bitcoin Well dashboard. Of course, their place in Canada and the US. You can get your Bitcoin, but we are going to be throwing a coin in the Bitcoin wishing well, and you're going to have the chance to win somewhere between 500 and potentially 1 million sats. And all you need is a Lightning wallet with LN URL enabled. You can scan the QR. Whoever gets it first gets it. So there's one winner, and yeah, so we're going to go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to play now. I'll redeem. I'm going to enlarge this a little bit on the screen so it's easier to scan for you guys. But off it goes. There's 500 sats for whoever scans it first. I will leave it up.
Got
for
it. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
That would be the worst. But whoever does get it, drop a note in the chat. Let me know, or a tweet, or a NOS note, or wherever you are. Yeah, let me know if you snagged them. But congrats to whoever does. And we are going to be right back in here. So awesome.
Yeah, I got it.
You get it?
Actually did.
Yeah, I did get it. See?
Speed wallet was actually
He's plugging speed wallet right now. That's crazy.
Oh man.
That's awesome.
The chat is way too slow, you guys. Look at that. A guest rug pulled you. You got to get quicker ones. Yes, that's hilarious. Fantastic.
Speaks to the name Speed Wallet.
Yeah. Oh man. That was perfect. Awesome. Well, we're gonna dive into the next topic. Tatum, I'm looking straight at you, and I'm gonna ask you the same question. Why are you bullish?
All right. So this is virtually the same answer that I have given every time I've been on the show, but it changes why every time. But I am bullish on pleb miners. And that is coming from, there we go. Yeah, I knew.
But you just took the words right out of my mouth.
That is coming from basically a lot of learning that I've done on mining in general, but also mining on a larger scale. A lot of learning I've done there, and also one of my main crusades right now. And Tarantulas also talks about this too, but centralization of mining in block template generation. And I originally, that when you think about decentralization, there's really two ways of looking at it: physical and digital decentralization. Physical decentralization is when you have miners all over the world, people plugging in space heater S9s or bit axes or Apollos, anything like that, making sure that there's always still going to be someone mining in case the government says no more of this, or massive storm wipes out 300 megawatts or something like that. But then on the more scary side is digital decentralization, where the block templates are basically just being white labeled by one entity, Bitmain, and it's like
So I plug HT
there's
pool.
there's an analogy somewhere there, but I don't know, because Bitcoin mining is where it is because of Bitmain, but also it is being held at gunpoint because of Bitmain as well. And so it's like, okay, I can, plug in an S9 in my apartment. I can plug in a BitX, or actually BitX is a little bit different, but I can, convert my shed outside to have, 10 S19J Pros or something like that. But if I'm hashing to a pool that's just been white labeled by Bitmain, and I'm still abiding by their block templates, then I'm actually not helping but hurting the problem as well. But doing a lot of research on Solo Pool and Ocean and BitX and all of these little bitty, in the grand scheme of things, relatively speaking to like Bitmain, little bitty projects are going to end up snowballing, working together, and going to basically save the security of Bitcoin mining itself, because Bitcoin miners aren't. There's always the saying they secure the network, and to a degree that is true. To a degree, it's not exactly. It depends on how you look at it. But they, when you are almost aiding in a 51% attack that's just sitting dormant, then you're actually the Bitcoin miners are the weak link in the security of the network, because reorgs could happen, which I think that's a little more unlikely. But the main thing is censorship. You could be, whoever higher up could call Mr. Bitmain and say, "Hey, I don't want this address, and it's one of my addresses, to have any transactions." And they block that address from having any transactions in their blocks. And then I'm censored by everyone who is knowing or unknowingly aiding in those templates being pushed out. But there's also now ways where, like, say that did happen, and one of all the pools that Bitmain's templates are being propagated in won't ever pick up that transaction. My transaction will sit in the mempool, and there will be a pool that will pick it up. It may be a little longer, it may not be next block, but now we're at a point where, okay, we know there are some people who are running miners who are actively putting their footprint in the hash rate, i.e. Ocean, for instance, that you can see what templates are being built, that what templates are being hashed towards, and you can know that my transaction, if anyone, Ocean's going to pick that one up, because I know that Ocean has it in their mempool. So all over the realm of physical digital decentralization, I am bullish on pleb miners. And also, just saw it in chat, 1 zettahash by the end of 2024. I promise you that's going to happen. I have some sats on the line with Adam O from Upstream Data, but I am bullish, because when one domino falls, they all fall, except for the plebs, because those aren't in the domino line.
Yeah, that's
I
great.
agree.
I like the two things that you mentioned, I have both of them directly behind me. There's like my S9 miner for my space heater over here, and actually right above it is the Nerd Axe that I did a video on
Nice.
recently. I do have like an M30 Plus, but again, like it just currently I don't have a use for the heat that would like even begin to make sense with my power costs to use it. So, you know,
Just run it outside.
yeah,
Those things will run in a puddle, and that what's miners.
It will.
Beast mode.
yeah. Well, maybe Tarantula, I'll let you tag onto this topic first before I give any general thoughts there. But
so Tatum is absolutely 100% correct. I have been talking about the Achilles heel in regards to Bitcoin mining being at the pool level and it being a bottleneck and it being the perfect kind of target for legislative action. That's kind of like what he's talking about when you get into blacklisting and whitelisting addresses. And so to see more people come out of the woodwork and start building like Ocean and Demand Pool, like even I myself am undertaking the task of establishing a pool. It makes me more bullish on the future in regards to what's going on out there with Bitcoin, because right now all the pools are proxies for Foundry or Ampool, and it's really disconcerting to individuals who understand the nature of how this actually works from a nuts and bolts perspective and the direction with which it could go and how easily it could happen, considering most of those entities that are established with these proxy pools and the Bitmain Ampool and Foundry themselves, you know, they operate under a board of directors essentially, and they're fiat incentive driven, and so I worry about the way that they make decisions. If something's going to come along and put pressure on them, someone or some entity, that, you know, there's not a lot of doubt in my mind that they will bend the knee pretty quickly in regards to being, so that they can maintain what they've established and what they're doing. And so I'm really happy to hear Tatum bring this up. It was I mean, this is a topic that me and him, we can go on for a long time about this, but it's extremely important, and it is absolutely necessary that this starts to spread the awareness and individuals being willing to take on the risk of operating a pool independently, because to me personally, you know, if it doesn't happen, it's not that it's only a matter of time before Bitcoin is captured at that level. It kind of already is from a corporatocracy standpoint. So the bottleneck needs to be broken, and seeing all the different individuals out there like Public Pool and Demand and other players trying to come into the game, that makes me happy. It kind of warms my heart.
yeah, 100%. Now I'm curious. I don't know, like a lot of people, myself included, were very like mining to me was very foreign. It was like my major blind spot for ages, and I'd say it's still not at all like anywhere close to one of my strong suits. I'm like moderately familiar with certain things, and like mostly from the pleb miner perspective. I'm curious, Raj, if you've had any experience even with like little home devices, or like, or if you know of other people mining in another capacity, or maybe yourself. Like, where are you at when it comes to Bitcoin mining?
Well, back in 2017, I did set up a mining rig, and yeah, that was about it. Yeah, it
Do you
got
remember what you
outdated now.
had?
No, I don't remember. I think it was Ant Miner. I think it was a miner from Bitmain.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, I mean, hopefully we see again, as Tatum is mentioning, hopefully we see the return of people, getting their hands dirty and starting to play and learn. Again, like if people watching this are curious about like some low cost, just like learning devices to kind of get yourself going. Again, like bidaxe.org can walk you through a number of different things just to kind of show you what's involved in general. And like I don't expect to be making sats hand over fist here. Like this is very much like a learning activity, and
It's
maybe
definitely a hobbyist activity for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And you can think of it as maybe like a forever lottery ticket. Like it's very unlikely that you're going to make any money or anything, but if you can solo mine and then that's your lottery ticket in lieu of, if you're somebody who does buy lottery tickets, kick that habit, get yourself a BitAxe or a NerdAxe, which like these I ended up getting mine when I was at BTC Prague. But I think maybe like 180, 190 bucks or something like that for one of these things. And then you can just kind of leave it humming away, and maybe one day you'll luck out and you'll hit a block, and all of a sudden your under $200 device is just gifted you a couple $100,000 or something like that. Like, yeah, and that just happened like what, a month and a half ago,
I
something
think
like
less
that.
than
Yeah.
that. It was fairly recent. I was
Yeah, I think it
I was
happened yesterday
thrilled.
as well, right? I think there was one. It did happen last couple of days as well. I
Really?
think I read somewhere. Yeah, on the
I
tweet.
think so.
Holy
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they've already hit the block with those things hard. It's wonderful to see.
That's fantastic. Well, yeah, you should again, something like this is great. Like the you're never going to win the lottery ticket is like the nerd miner. That is for sure. Just like playing and testing. I got one of those ticking away, and it's more of a conversation piece that I have sitting out in the living room. So somebody come over and be like, what is that little thing? And then I can tell them. But in the same realm as like the NerdAxe, BitAxe type thing, you've got things like the Future Bit, which is a little bit more of like a sleek, nice looking thing you can have kicking around, and it has a dual
I
function.
love Future Bits.
Yeah, and you can run a node with it too, like and you can link wallets to that node and everything. So it's like it goes beyond just the mining part of it, so you can more justify getting a fancier device. And then Brains has their little Bitcoin mini miner as well. I haven't played with it myself. I do have a future bit on the way that I'm going to play with, but hopefully I'll get my hands on one of these and learn a little bit further. But like, I mean, these are all promising things. I think it makes things a little bit more accessible. And I think I like FutureBit's approach where they dual purpose it, where you have like some functionality out of using a node, and then it's also a little bit of a miner. It's almost like we're moving back to the start of Bitcoin, where a wallet was a miner, was a node. Like it was all kind of one thing before we put those out. It's like we're revisiting that to maintain decentralization, which is hilarious to go full circle like that.
And I think that I think that paired with it's like direct competition with I don't want to call them bad actors because they're not they're like what I'm talking about basically is like pubcos, for instance. And how Tarantula had a debate in Vegas at Unconfiscatable last year between public and private mining, and it was one of the greatest,
Rectum.
absolute greatest presentations I've ever seen. Would encourage everyone to go back and watch that. But pubcos are very. It's super interesting to think about publicly traded mining companies because what I think it was Ben Agnon said at that debate was that when a company goes public, they effectively turn into a whatever industry they are, they turn into a profit company. and their main goal, regardless, is to increase their shareholders' value. And when you're a mining company and a large portion of your revenue is mining and mining rewards, that's not, they don't care about the ethos and the decentralization. They care about the profitability of whatever pool has the history of giving you X amount over this time, yada yada, with your hash rate or whatever. And yeah, you can change the pool whenever you want, and they don't care. They're going to change it whenever it's beneficial to them, to whatever pool that they're able to go to. And it's like a double-edged sword, really, with Bitcoin, because it is permissionless, but that's also kind of enabling the problem that we're seeing here. But at the same time, the publicly traded mining companies expanding, growing, is also kind of in a roundabout way causing plebs and their small scale mining to expand and grow. And if both sides are growing, then that's the entire network that is like forcing itself to grow. And so it's just a big expansion, which I think is in the end a good thing, but it doesn't come without, holdups and speed bumps and things like that.
Yeah.
Tatum, you'll be happy to know I'm working on a model right now that is absolutely going to wreck anybody pubco large and on a grid. It's kind of a hybrid setup type of build out in regards to a data center, but essentially utilizing a small fraction of the power from the data center, let's call it 5%, with the specific application of certain type of tech stack, I can offset the cost of the other 95% of the operation to the extent that you can put any ASIC in there indefinitely, regardless of network difficulty level, and you will still be able to keep all that Bitcoin from that and remain solvent under any circumstances.
Interesting.
I'm we'll have to hear more. Maybe this will be the reason.
You might need to talk after this.
Yeah.
Well, like you could put S9s in there right now and run them all at 10 cents a kilowatt hour and still remain solvent with what I'm trying to build right now.
Damn, awesome. Well, that's maybe this will be a subsequent topic for another episode, I suppose. But HODL, I want to keep it with you, because I'll put
That's what she said.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm gonna put a bow on Tatum's topic, but I'm gonna funnel directly into your topic. I'll key you with the same question: why are you bullish? Excited to hear it.
It kind of is in line with what Tatum said. Pleb miners, every year I see more of them implementing S9s and M20s, M30s for heaters. Like I see people that I've never seen before in the space, buying ASICs and deploying them for other purposes just besides, mining, like if you're heating a water heater, heating their jacuzzi, creating heat for their house. Application is of this is on the rise, and that just further decentralizes our hash rate. And then we have guys like at BitX that are putting out what would appear to be like a hobbyist type of device, but these things have proven that they can hit a block recently. So that's going to drive adoption of these types of things for people who aren't having access to 240 volts power, and they want to be involved, they want to learn. And seeing more people putting together devices like this and marketing them makes me extremely bullish, and it makes me really happy too, because the individuals out there who are that are doing this, that are buying them, they're actually a lot of them didn't necessarily know anything about mining, and this gives them a cost-efficient way to learn about how these things work in regards to our network and Bitcoin as a whole. And so I feel that the more education and knowledge that's out there, and the more people that are involved in obtaining that, it's just overall better for the entirety of Bitcoin. And so it's these recent developments, and the people that are grinding to get these type of products out there, and seeing so many people just go out and jump on top of them. Like, these bit axes sell out like that, so they can't make enough of them fast enough. And so I in the beginning of the year said that we would hit a Zeta hash by the end of the year. So I should have jumped in on that bet with you and Adam. But I never had a doubt in my mind that that would happen. But seeing things like this and seeing more people become involved from different levels, it makes me so much more bullish.
Well, I love that. And it, again, to the like, say, BitX, like these types of products, it makes it so that, before it would be like, oh, okay, well, somebody just takes a literal S9 and just like adds some different fans and then shoves it in a 3D printed case. But these are different, right? Like, this is taking taking a large but relatively newer, efficient ASIC and taking those chips and like creating a smaller device that is still equally efficient but using less power, that enables these things to be able to sometimes hit a block, right? And so that's a whole different ball game than just like cramming a large, previously expensive ASIC into an enclosure, right? Yeah,
I think they use different chips across. I got a little lost whenever they started coming out with newer models. But I mean, I want to say that I heard they were using. Dang it, I don't even know now, but it was at least a J Pro chip the last I heard of. But I need to look at what their newest ones are using.
Yeah, they got a brand new one that just I don't even know if you can get it yet.
I was gonna say I have a report to make on the original BitX that ran the S17 chip. I have had that thing on forever now, and it still operates. So just want to give some accolades to the guys over there who are building, because they build an efficient, strong device, and I respect that highly. Because I mean, as a What's Miner maximalist, I'm all about quality in regards to my ASICs, and the way that they have put together this, it's good quality, and the fact that I got one that is running an S17 chipset in it is a testament to how well they've designed and put out this device, because the S17 was the worst thing that Bitmain has ever produced, and
even worse than the XP. Come on,
man. I mean, 60% of your fleet would fail after like 4 months with the S17. They just constantly find ways to not warranty anything. So like, so many people went insolvent because of the T17 and the S17. But yeah, I have one I have one of their original designs, and it still runs. Like, it's never been it just goes. So kudos to those guys.
I wanted to say that the chip that I was thinking about saying was from the S21, but I was like, oh no, that's way.
That's
too
what
recent.
I thought.
No,
but I read.
I mean, the one that they just announced, like
the Supra
10 days ago, S21 Pro. So they're making BitX with BM1370s at 1 to 1.2 terahash. That's crazy.
Joules per terahash, yeah.
15
15
joules terahash, which is
that's what I
on
thought.
scale. That is insane efficiency. That's crazy.
Oh yeah.
Now I want one.
It's worth it.
Crap on my desk here. It's I need the newest. I need the greatest. So
as you should.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I guess my only question to you, Tarantula, is if you were to encounter a Bitcoiner, they've pretty much like they've only ever just kind of obtained, used, they've got Bitcoin wallets, things like that, but they've not set foot in the mining space yet. Is there kind of a default thing that you would say to get them to dip their toes in, like for this kind of pleb mining stuff, or does it kind of depend on the person? Like, what's your response there?
Well, I try to figure out like who my audience is when it comes to somebody asking me. I ask like them, what is your motive for this, right? And then once I figure out that, then I'll kind of advise based on that motive. So if it's profitability, then I tell them that you're going to have to become extremely creative, and you're going to have to learn how to do different things with this ASIC that may be outside the norm of just plugging it in and letting it go, depending on what their power rate is. Because if offset cost of operations and power for implementing an ASIC for an alternative purpose is money saved there, and that's sats saved there. And so then if it's not just about profit, then I'll tell them, if you're trying to learn ASICs and repair and about this in general, then I'll send them over to one of my vendors and say, buy this ASIC. You tell them that you'll take it used, or even just buy a couple broken ones, and then learn how to fix it yourself. And then that's the main way to actually level up your skill in regards to Bitcoin mining, is to take somebody else's loss that they weren't able to do it, and you build it yourself back from that. And I've seen more people become successful with their mining endeavors by just buying something that's either broken already and then learning how to fix it, or basically I'll tell them to just buy something that's used and works, and don't be concerned if you break it, because it's already used. You might get it for $2 a terahash, and so it's not going to be a big loss or anything. In fact, the knowledge that you'll gain through that experience is going to be more valuable than your investment was into the actual equipment. And so that's kind of how I lead people when it comes to how they want to get involved and what they want to know.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree with that more, because crazy enough, the pill that I took to send me down this crazy rabbit hole of Bitcoin mining was searching for cheap ASIC miners for between two ASICs. And I ended up finding two S7s on eBay, which S7 I think is 2 or 4 terahash, I want to say.
Yep.
And because like I literally just needed
4.
something to look like it. I wasn't gonna get an actual spend a couple $100. And
You just need a LARP.
Exactly. I saw 2 of these things for $40. The guy was like, hey, I'll 10 extra dollars, I'll throw in a third one. I was like, nah. He's like, all right, I'll do it anyway. So I had 3 S7s, and I'm like, I kind of want to figure out like how this works, and just started tinkering, started playing around with it. And that literally, like I had to do was get my hands on an ASIC miner. And if anyone ever wants to learn about mining, that is my main thing that I always say, is just get your hands on something, whether it is, I wouldn't recommend, getting a brand new miner to learn about it. Go on eBay, find some scrap for under $50. You can still do that. And then next thing you know, you're going to try to figure out how to get 240 volt into your apartment. And, girlfriend's going to yell at you for noise and stuff.
Or they'll shut your electric off because they're seeing the meter spin and the electricity is included in the apartment. And now you've raised some serious questions. Why is the panel off on your electric panel? What's going on here? What is that there?
One last quick note on that. Last year, my first winter in Denver, I figured out that my rent was all inclusive. And so I was like, of course, I'm going to figure out how many 110 miners I can put it. I was plugging in all my S9s. I plugged in a V9. I plugged in a V9 and ran it profitably. And and then we got an email that said, hey, we're going to investigate this massive spike in electricity and we might have to increase rent next month if we don't come to resolution. I was like, I'm just going to push all this under my bed. Yeah, I have no idea what's happened there. That's crazy. But yeah,
You know what?
I was giving them a run for their money.
I was gonna say what you do is you set up direct circuits wired directly into the split pole breaker, the dual pole breaker, and then you just remove the panel completely, and then you just slot the breakers individually down the panel, and then whenever, like you said, when they come, there's like it's just wrap it up and toss it under the bed, and you can usually expand those panels. You just have to make sure that you're conscious of the load itself in the size of the panel, because you might have 20 or 15 breakers in that panel, and this, like, you might have a few more slots for more, but the way they build electrical panels, all those breakers aren't consuming at one time. So if you actually know what you're doing in regards to electricity, I would, you want to be understanding what you're doing here, or else you could very easily end up smoking yourself right out of your boots. Or consult with somebody who you know and trust, verifiably can trust, who's an electrician, to guide you through how to set something up like this. There's a lot of sats that can be had for virtually no cost.
That's awesome. All right, well, gents, conscious of time, I'm going to start rounding out the show here, but there's a thing that I like to do at the end of every show. Really, really, really simple. I like to just go round robin one last time and just quickly ask each person for any final thoughts that they want to get off their chest, like a kind of like a takeaway from the show. And then more importantly, perhaps a recommendation. And that recommendation can take really any form. Maybe it's a good book that you read. Maybe it is an app or device that you played with. Maybe it is a life lesson that you've learned just in general. Anything that you think might be helpful in somebody's Bitcoin journey, a movie, a blog post you saw, anything. So I'll let you guys stew with that for a second while I do mine. So my general, I suppose, takeaway or main thing that I want to pull from the show is people stepping outside of their comfort zones, I suppose, because that comes in with the mining, but it also comes in with the idea of beginning to use Bitcoin differently than maybe you have before. And so I guess this kind of plays across all of them, but you should always be trying to grow as a Bitcoiner. Like try not to stand still. A lot of us will get to a point, we know our few things that we know, feel pretty good about that because those were big hurdles to get over. But then once you're comfortable and you set up, you don't do anything new. You don't progress. And so try to get yourself unstuck from that point and choose an aspect of Bitcoin that is new to you that you can excel in. And maybe this is like upping your security game just around your stack. Maybe this is beginning to use it in a more day-to-day manner, and like seeking out merchants or becoming a merchant and accepting Bitcoin yourself. Or maybe it's some of this pleb mining stuff that we're talking about. Or maybe it's something like run a node. Whatever it may be, just don't sit there and be sedentary. Go out, learn, and level up, because it's always gratifying when you do. And
always be learning.
Yes, exactly. And in terms of recommendation, I'm going to say just on the topic of the pleb miner things, the Nerdax that I got over here was a lot of fun to set up. I did do a video on it, so if you want to try one of those out, check them out. The other one, the tiny one that's really cheap, is the Nerd Miner, and also a great learning tool just to kind of like tinker and see how it works. Definitely worth peeking at. So those are fun
because they run on Wi-Fi too.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that makes them pretty simple. So with that, I'll toss it over to Raj first. Any final thoughts, takeaways that you wanted to reiterate? And if you have a recommendation, that'd be awesome too.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. I think it was really great to learn more about solo mining, pleb mining. Really excited about that. Um, One thing that I would like to share, which I kind of have more conviction about, is that we may not repeat exactly the same Bitcoin cycle of it quickly pumping up and then crashing down 80%. Maybe not this time. uh, yeah, I believe all the CTF and financialization, more liquidity, and people being able to speculate on the derivatives instead of buying it directly would help taper the pump and will provide a cushion or a bottom to the crash, and we might see more gradual and sustained trend of Bitcoin with lower volatility overall.
Mhm.
So really looking forward to that. And yeah, I would say in terms of recommendation, the Broken Money book by Lean Alden.
Yes.
I would definitely strongly recommend that. Awesome book. Yeah.
I got it up on my shelf there. You can't quite see it, but
I'm
yeah.
honestly really shocked that he didn't say, I recommend Speed Wallet.
Speed
But
wallet.
anyway.
Yo. And
All right.
the volatility is part of the fun, sir.
Yeah. Raj recommends you're faster taking those sats next time. Otherwise,
He recommends being ready with your Speed Wallet whenever there's a giveaway.
Boom.
Yeah.
That was
I love
awesome,
it.
Rod. That was great.
I respect the hell out of that, Raj.
Yeah. I also love the pleasant sound that played as they were snapped away.
It's awesome.
I do like the sounds in the wall. It's great. Awesome. Well, thank you for that, Raj. I appreciate it. And Tatum, I'll toss it to you next. Any final thoughts, takeaways, and a recommendation if you got one?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and preface what I would say with this. I'm a comedian. I make jokes all the time and I talk in satire. So think about that whenever, I say things. So the first thing I'll say is sacrifice convenience until then you're not free. The second is oil your kill switches. It's better to have them and not need them than need them not have it. And then my recommendation is comes from a lyric in a song, one of my favorite songs by Kevin Gates. It goes, I got two phones, one for everyday activities and one in case I need to fake my death. So that's my recommendation. And remember, I'm just a comedian, silly. But also another recommendation that's a little more serious than getting a phone is to, like I said, go on eBay and find an ASIC miner for under $50 that, even if it's just for parts, do it and actually get it in your hands, take it apart, see if you can put it back together, because that will unlock so much potential that you may not know that you have. Like before I started into mining, I honestly kind of wanted to push it away because it was just like super confusing. I saw people like HT. I'm like, I can never be him. And then I went down the rabbit hole and realized I don't want to do anything else with Bitcoin. So it's also just a good skill set to have.
Yeah, that's awesome. Love it. HT, I'm going to toss it to you then. Final thoughts, recommendations, this is all you.
Final thoughts is that I'm happy to see how things are progressing in regards to mining. And a recommendation is, like Tatum said, go ahead and get an ASIC and then find a way to offset your costs. Don't be a cuck to just profits only, like pubcos. And just know that the obstacle is the way.
Nice. I love it.
Hey, winter's coming up, baby. Winter's coming up.
Very awesome. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on this show. It was a blast. I had a lot of fun. Everybody that's watching, make sure you check down below. Give these gentlemen a follow to see what they're up to. And I'll just leave you guys by saying you're all welcome back anytime.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having us, Ben.
Cheers. All right. And everybody watching, thank you for being here. Of course, Again, follow everybody that was on the show. They are down below, and you can check them out there. Do those other great things like subscribe, share. They all help the show. If you want to help out the show as well, previously mentioned sponsors are down below. And the last thing I'll toss out there is if you've been checking through the channel, doing the tutorials and everything, and you're leveling up, but you've hit kind of a block, and you're trying to learn more, but there's something that you can't quite get around. Be sure to reach out to my team over at bitcoinmentor.io. We've aggregated an incredible team of educators that are waiting there to help you through anything, whether it be as simple as wallets, to hardware, to multisig, to Lightning, to running a node, home mining, like we discussed, all those great things. You can reach out again, bitcoinmentor.io. You can have a free 15-minute call to chat about what you might be looking to learn about. And then if it sounds right for you, then you can go ahead and book your first session. Anyways, with that, I am out. Have yourselves a wonderful day or evening, and I'll see you guys next time for your daily session.
HODL the Bitcoin.